So I've never held a microphone before. Okay, so I'm Chrissy.
First fruit.
Amen. Let's see. We're just going to pray real quick. So, Father, we just thank you for this opportunity, Father God, to testify of your glory, Lord. We just magnify your refining fire, Father God, and I just ask that my words be your words, Lord, and that we not glorify the enemy, Father God, but just truly call down the fire of Christ, Lord. In Jesus' name. So, I'm from Midland, Odessa, but I originally came from Amarillo. I was born in Arizona. But I left Amarillo 2 years ago. When I left Amarillo, I left in a pretty broken case. I spent basically the last 20 years of my life in heavy addiction, heavy addiction, and consistently. So I heard the voice of the Lord that told me to just go, and I followed his voice. I ended up in a program in Odessa, Texas, and it was a 12-month discipleship program. And I didn't complete it successfully because there was, lots of strongholds. And even when I was asleep, I started the journey of deliverance, honestly. So through the deliverance, I dug deep and a lot of things broke off, but there were certain things that I couldn't get healed from. I basically stayed in a heightened state of like psychosis, with deep holes of like discontent, not feeling like I belonged. I had beautiful church families there, and just amazing people, and I just didn't understand why I couldn't feel that, So I started just pursuing the Lord, lots of FaceTime. Every person that could possibly operate in deliverance, including myself, I would seek them every time, every altar call.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Just persistence and perseverance. But it still wasn't breaking. And one of the things I hadn't shared with you, because I don't like necessarily glorifying the enemy, but during one of my drug use, there's kids, I had an encounter with the demonic, and I was touched on the back of my head. And ever since then, I had real bad migraines and just out of control anger and all these different things. And even as I would pray, I would hear firewall, and which as we equivalent, it's stronghold, and I just didn't know how to overcome that. And so through this process, I've done counseling, I've done it all, so fasting, all of it. And so anyways, the Lord had given me this dream, and I heard breaker, and I heard gatekeepers, and I heard these chains, and I knew that something was about to break. That was a few months, so, I spent a couple days with the Lord fasting, like, okay, what is this breaker? Like, I've never heard anything about a breaker angel, no breaker, nothing. I'm all the way in Midland. I really don't drive here, and so as I'm starting that journey, I get granted the scholarship to try neurofeedback because everything else had failed. So I started neurofeedback, which is brain training. If anybody's familiar with biofeedback, it's where you watch your body and you respond to so you watch your, like your heart rate, your breathing rate, and you learn how to control them, thus controlling your body. So brain training or neurofeedback is watching your brain waves through a monitor and so you drive a car or they have different other things. So you can learn how to manipulate basically your brain waves, and it stimulates your reward center. And it's not a treatment, it's a cure. So I start this process, and I'll show you the pictures. Well, look at them there. So when I first started this, and I'll show you what all this means in a second, it explained a lot. All my brainwaves were depleted, alpha, all these things were completely depleted, like they were at like a 2 when they should be at like a 10 or a 13, so that explained a lot. Except my high beta waves were off the charts. They were like 35, which is why I was in a constant state of psychosis. It stems from trauma. The protocol that they had to put my brain on was what they called Special Forces Protocol for the veterans that come back from war.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so my brain had been conditioned to lots of trauma. And through about 7 months of going 3 times a week, and your sessions last about 30 minutes, 7 months I finally got my high beta down, and we were starting to tackle some of the other ones about as I'm having this breaker dream. Now, I will tell you, and I don't think this process is for everybody. I encourage anybody that has the opportunity to try neurofeedback. But for me, because there was that firewall, I would get migraines every day. Every time I went, I would get horrible migraines. And oftentimes I'd spend the night throwing up and feeling like I was going to die. Literally, like sometimes it was like, Lord, like I know you have a future for me, like so I'm going to hold on to that. But like, can this really kill me? And I'm a single mom with 3 kids, and I was going to college and taking 6 classes at the time. So it was a very trying time in my life. You know, but I just really wanted my healing. I'm sorry.
No.
And so, you know, you just keep going, and you wait another day, and you go back and you try to do your classes.
Yeah.
So, with that said, I'm sorry, I see you trying. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 7 months of that, just 3 times a week.
Wow. Completion.
Yeah, so I had this breaker dream. I'm like, what is this? And then somebody randomly said, shares this breaker gathering. I didn't even know what the last part was. I was like, I just seen breaker, and I'm like, I'm there. I don't even care, like, how I gotta get there. Like, I mean, I'll hitchhike. I don't, like, I was just like, this, something's gonna happen here. Like, something's gonna happen here. So I drive up here. I had 3 kids. My friend, she so nicely watched my kids for me, like, that morning, Another lady calls me that was my mentor, and she's watched my stuff, and she's like, I'll go with you. And she's like, what is this? I'm like, I have no idea. Let's just go.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
And like, the Lord's going to be there, though. Like, we're just going to go. So she's like, who do you know? I'm like, nobody. Jesus.
Yeah.
We're just going to get there.
Come on.
So, I mean, we're all family, right?
Right.
So we show up, and she's like, this place is packed. I'm like, I mean, but we're here, like, I'll sit outside, like, I just touch the hem of his, robe, like,
Wow, man.
So we end up here, and we're by this tree, and I'm like, all right, tree of righteousness, like, I believe it, Lord, I'm standing
there you
in
go.
It, like,
Made it a positive,
and there's
come
all
on.
these, like, because there's a Christmas tree, and I was like, I know there's gifts here, like, there's gifts here for me, like, there's a reason why this is happening.
Wow.
And so
That's good.
I could see it on me. And so I was like, and I tell my friend, I'm like, he's got a word for you. And I knew he had a word for me. And I was like, man, like, my human mind's like, all right, so when everybody starts leaving, I'm going to go around this way, and I'll maybe even go all the way. I'm like trying to plan my route to get my word. Like, because it's mine and I'm coming for it.
Come on. Come on.
So I hear the Lord, and he told me, he said, you don't have to contend for your word. So, I mean, I don't know how to not contend for stuff from the streets, Like, I'm like, oh, so what do I do?
Yeah.
He's like, hang out, like, enjoy the ride. So that's where we kind of hung out. And then Rodney calls us here, and I'm like, and he's like, you weren't expecting this. And I'm like, well, little did you know. Like, I did. I had kind of been, and really, like, there was truth in what he said, because I didn't know what I was here for. And I didn't, and then when he's like, I'm going to release an angel, I've seen in the spirit, but there's a difference, because I hadn't fully been touched or made the connection of getting touched. And he had said something that the breaker angel comes to do what man can't do.
Come on.
And I knew, like, when he said that, I was like, this is it. Like, that firewall's coming down, like, this is done.
Come on, man. Thank you,
You
Lord.
guys might, anybody who's here, I was the crying, laughing ball right here. This is where it happened. It was memories. So anyways, the angel came through, and I felt touched. I was filled with fire. I felt the back of my head doing and it sounds weird, but it was doing the exact opposite of when the other thing had touched me. And I'm like, what is this? I get home. So this was Friday before I left. Friday at 2:00. I have my sessions Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And let me give you guys an idea. Oh, is this?
No, you're okay. You're good.
Told you uncomfortable. I just want to show you guys how to look at it easier. These are your brainwaves down here. The color-coded are the different waves. Okay, so this is the beta, and these colors right here translate down here. This is what it should be, 2 to 5. I'm finally at an average of 8 from 35, thank you, Jesus. And 10 to 13, this is your alpha, and I'm at an average of 4. That's, a few months worth of training. It started at a 2. Alpha waves are what is like your, like what makes you feel content. So when you're alpha, or like enjoyment, like so where instead of reading for like an assignment, it's reading for pleasure, that kind of thing, feeling accepted, like, those things. So I was at like a 2, basically brain dead in that area. It's 22 to 36, here's at 11. And this is your theta. So, like I said, you can see through 7 months, I barely get this down, Now, can we go to the next one? And let me go back real quick. Let me show you, this is still, is my head in the way? So this is still, the burgundy one, still, pretty high of what it should be. Like it should be kind of lower. And then the rest are just depleted, barely up there. Okay, so, once again.
Let's go to this one.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So this top right here is what they call artifact or interference. Okay, I can be moving and talking and have an interference of like 60%, and the brainwaves will still show up. The reason you don't see these brainwaves here is because the interference is at 100%. I'm sitting perfectly still because now I'm kind of scared. I'm like, what is this? We changed the electrodes 3 different times. There's no, the guy was shaking and sweating. He's like, what is going on? And I'm trying to be real still and not tell him, like, I just had an encounter with God, like, I'm just, like, kind of just, like, what's happening? But you can see my brainwaves. Just the chart alone. It's, like, completely.
Jesus.
Yeah. And it can't register. Now, I'll tell you guys, and then, cut it off. He didn't know. He didn't know how to explain it. Because I'm trying to be, like, neutral, like, what's up? Like, what is this? Like, he's like, what happened to you? And like, I don't know. I knew he was a believer, so I'm like, I had an encounter with God. He didn't want to start with an angel, so it's like, God's more neutral, like, he's not charismatic, you're Pentecostal,
Wisdom.
Maybe, to start with God. So I had an encounter with God. And he's like, Chrissy, that's the only way to explain this. He said, science would explain it that I had to have had some kind of severe traumatic experience. Because when we have good experiences, our brain, it doesn't shock our brain like trauma does. Trauma is the only thing that permanently changes like the structure of your brain, like how it does. He said that if he sent that to his higher ups, which he did, it's 2 totally different brains. And in a matter of 2-3 days, 2 totally different brains. He said there's no way to explain it. Like, this would have had to been something extremely traumatic. Woo! And even if we explained the brainwaves down here as something, if we could write it off scientifically, it doesn't explain the artifact, the 100% artifact, and I know that when the angel touched me, because I could feel it, man, I was singing, for days. I'm like, disrupting the energy field around me. That we all have that energy field, the bioelectric energy field. You can get all scientific about it, but he touched it and it was disruptive. So this machine is picking up all of this disruption, And when he sent me these pictures for Rodney, he actually said before angel and after angel.
Wow. I'll stand to your feet just a moment, man. Give your time to stretch just for a moment. Come on, somebody say reset. Reset. It's amazing to me how the Holy Spirit brings people into His plans and purposes. You take somebody out of Midland, Texas. I've made that drive numerous times, still do. There's a church that brings me in Odessa. It's a 5-hour drive, one way. So the Lord brings somebody into a place, there's no seats, stands her up in the back, and automatically she begins to make a positive out of a negative. Here's a Christmas tree. God's got gifts. 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 And I'm telling you, this is where the church is headed. They're going to start getting hungry for an encounter. They're going to start getting hungry and begin to recognize that bondage is not normal. Slavery to sin is not normal. Circumstances that life brings become cycles, and we have to identify that it's not normal. So the Lord wants to do a reset.
Yeah.
So I want you to stretch your hands towards this young lady. And just, I'm hearing the Lord say, as you've received, Chrissy, just freely give. That which has been given unto you, give it unto them. Just stretch your hands towards these people and release a blessing on them. Pray over them. You might be needing a reset in your family, in your finances, in your ability to even hear God. Listen, there are things that we can do in the natural to get a reset and renew our mind. Somebody say principles and precepts. But when they're separated from the person in presence, you'll never touch the realm of the supernatural. You'll never touch that which is impossible. So Lord, right now in Jesus' mighty name, be it unto these people according to the power of your word. Just go ahead. Just release something over us. I got it.
Can I pray?
Please.
Yes,
stir it
I know there's something special with the women, and when she was releasing, when your wife was moving around, he said that he was arming his daughters, and that he was raising up a new like prototype of women. And Father God, so we just release that over these women, Father God. Every woman in this place, Father God, all of us have grown weary in one way or another, Father God. And so we just declare, Father God, freedom, Father, freedom.
Come on, freedom.
Freedom from the Spirit.
Freedom.
Freedom to speak, Father God. We will no longer be scared of our voices. We will speak what the Lord is putting on our hearts.
Come on.
In Jesus' mighty name.
Shout freedom. 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 In Jesus' mighty name. Come on, let's give Chrissy a God bless you.